Hello and welcome to this training from stress to success. My goal is to show you exactly how you can use the 5-step food freedom plan to end binges, end that diet chaos, so that you can find food and body confidence without restriction. So this training is for high achievers who have everything together. Everything seems to be going okay, except for one thing. They feel totally wild and out of control around food. I bet you're also here because you want to stop the binges and the overeating. You want to break free from that constant thinking about food and calories and feeling controlled around all the rules and restrictions that you have in place. Let me know if that sounds like you. And I bet you're also fed up of saying to yourself over and over things like, I feel so weak-willed, or I hate my body, I'm such a failure, I'm not good enough, I can't trust myself around food, I'm never going to change, this is just who I am. Can you give me a thumbs up or a hell yeah if that is something that you're fed up with as well? And I bet you're also fed up of feeling like this, feeling shame and frustration with yourself, feeling anxious and hopeless, and that sense of discomfort when you restrict or when you overeat. You're so fed up with all of this. And overall, you're here to find answers about how you can take charge of your eating habits, how you can feel peace and calm with food and also your body. Well, you're absolutely in the right place. And if you stay to the end, I have a little bonus for you. That is the Eating Personality Questionnaire. This is a fantastic quiz questionnaire to find out a little bit more about your eating style, a very important first step to healing your relationship with food. Now let's dive in. I want you to imagine that your friends have said to you, let's all do a health kick this month. How would you approach this? Would you be like Lorna, who makes a list of all the not allowed foods, decides she's on this health kick and tells all her family she empties the fridge and freezer of all the not allowed foods? She tries really, really hard, but actually she feels like the restriction makes her feel more out of control. She's trying so hard not to eat that she ends up binging and going wild on something like ice cream. Iris, on the other hand, is approaching this completely differently. She knows that restriction doesn't work for her, so what she does is she buys a variety of foods. She has fruits and veg, but she also has a few things like biscuits and chocolate because she wants to allow herself to eat for nourishment and enjoyment. And you know what? She feels really confident in her body by the end of it and very happy when she looks in the mirror. Now, the thing is, we get these options every day in life. We can either go via option 1 and be like Lorna, who ends up calling herself an emotional binge eater, or we can take Iris's approach, who is maybe a little bit different to the approaches that you've heard about before, but she's very relaxed around food and she eats in an intuitive way. And yes, Iris's route might seem a little bit uncomfortable at first because it is unfamiliar. But which would you choose? Which would you prefer to be? Now, if we haven't yet met, it's really nice to meet you. I'm Lara and I'm the food freedom psychologist. I'm trained in psychology, obviously, but also nutrition, eating disorder skills, and intuitive eating. Now, I'm here to help the Lornas of the world become more like the Irises of the world so that they can go from struggling and feeling out of control around food to a point where they feel confident, back in charge, peace and calm around food. You can find me over on Instagram, Pinterest, and also YouTube. I'm at Dr. Lara Zib. I always reply to my messages, so feel free to drop me a message to say hi. Now, I was someone who was so sad about hearing so many women tell me that they were so desperate to get healthy that it ended up creating this terrible relationship with food, that diet chaos and binge eating. And to be perfectly honest, this was me for a very, very long time. I spent about 20 years of my life with a very disordered relationship with food. And I've gone from all the extremes. I've tried different diets. I've done different healthy eating plans. I've cut certain food groups out. I've done very intense, rigid things. I've been a little bit more relaxed. And all it ended up with me doing was becoming more out of control around food, more binging, more wild, uncontrollable urges. And about 6 years ago, with my training in psychology, I thought, you know what, I need to use my training in psychology to actually fix this, to work out how I can move forward with my life. I literally had had enough. So I ended up getting retrained in nutrition and health coaching and intuitive eating and those eating disorder practitioner skills, because I knew that there must be a way to solve this. We shouldn't all end with this diet chaos and binge eating. We needed something that was sustainable and long lasting, that would allow people to eat in a way that was healthy, but without restriction, that allowed them to create confidence in their relationship with food, but also with their body as well. And that is when the Food Freedom Plan was born. And it's a 5-step plan that has been created based on my psychology background, but also nutrition science. And it is the program, the plan that I personally use to heal my own negative relationship with food. And I've spent years doing the reading, doing the training to really understand the why behind like binges and emotional eating. And this plan is the result. And this is what allowed me personally to ditch the Lorna approach for good and go from a place of chaos and struggle to a place of freedom, confidence, self-love, and self-acceptance. And now I help other people to do that too. So my mission, my purpose in life is to help people ditch the Lorna approach and find the Iris approach. So let me know if that's something that sounds attractive to you as well. Let me know in the comments. Give me like a hell yeah or a yes. So what I want to do is break it all down. I want to explain to you the 3 mistakes that most people are making. And spoiler alert, these are the mistakes that lead to that out of control feeling, the binges, the stress eating, but they're also the mistakes that I was making as well. So I've been in your shoes. And mistake number 1 is restricting food. So you want to get healthy, and the first thing that you think of is to massively restrict food. And it's not a surprise, because we've had so many years of the health and wellness industry basically telling us that we need to restrict calories, macros, or food groups in order to get healthy. But if you keep cutting these food groups, you end up feeling really miserable and deprived, and this is not sustainable in the long run. So I want you to give me a hands up if you've ever done this. Have you ever done several different diets? So you've tried diet number 1, maybe it's a gluten-free diet, think that's going to help, and maybe you have initial success, but you don't last that long on it. You try diet number 2, maybe this is about like calorie restriction, you're counting calories, you've got your app out every day, but then you end up giving up on that eventually. Maybe it's too stressful to keep doing it, or you find yourself obsessing around food, and then you end up ditching that diet, trying diet number 3, which is cutting out dairy, but then you find that actually that's quite hard, especially when you go out, to always be dairy free. So you end up ditching that idea, and then a while later you're on to keto. Now, I have been through that process many, many times. I really cannot even count how many different diets I've been on, with that constant kind of desire to try and let the next one will work, the next one will work. So let me know if any of that sounds familiar to you. But the problem is with that approach is you end up with that feeling of, oh my goodness, what am I allowed to eat? Because they all tell you different things. And every time you go on a new diet, you've got a different list of not allowed foods. So you end up actually feeling scared around food. In fact, you feel really confused, because someone tells you not to eat this, someone tells you you should eat it, and actually you end up just feeling really ashamed and guilty because you do want to eat some of those not allowed foods, and when you do, you end up feeling really guilty, and often that's what leads to the binges, the blowout, and that out of control feeling. Now the problem is, if you keep restricting food, your body thinks it's being starved, like literally, and it does everything in its power from biological and a psychological perspective to get you to eat more food. You actually feel more hungry. It's because of your hunger hormones, and it's harder to feel full, which is why often when we start these plans, we have this insatiable hunger. You actually crave food. It's your body's way of trying to get you to eat more food, and you feel more wild when you do actually have food, so you end up like attacking it in wild, frenzied approach. Now, a lot of the work that I do is about creating this mindset shift. So we want to shift our mindset from a dieting mindset where we're restricting all week and binging on the weekends to a point in place, and yes, this might be a little bit down the line, we work on this together, but to the point where you can comfortably eat an ice cream on a Monday and it doesn't send you into a wild, frenzied, out of control binge. Now, mistake number 2, and this is something we learn from such an early age, is this idea of labeling food. So you may have labeled food good versus bad, healthy versus unhealthy, guilty pleasure, guilt-free. Now, I've done this as well. I spent many, many years with that kind of dichotomized view of food. It was either in one camp or the other. Now, the problem with labeling food is that it then reflects on you. You are either being good or you are craving bad. And that's really not sustainable. It's very bad for your mental health. And it means that people often get stuck in this restrict and then binge cycle. So food becomes this constant battle because you start restricting your food, and often people get this initial sense of euphoria and feeling in control because you're restricting, you've finally taken charge of your relationship with food. But eventually at some point, whether that's the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, you end up with cravings and obsession around food. That leads to you binging, and often it's always on the not allowed foods or the off-limit foods or the foods that are, deemed unhealthy. And then that means you end up feeling guilty and a bit like a failure. And that reignites the idea that, I better get on that next diet. So we get stuck in this constant battle. So a lot of the work that I do with my clients is about shifting mindset. So we're shifting away from a diet mindset where we have food is categorized in one or the other, and we're moving more towards an approach where we think of food differently. So food is different. Yes, some food is a lot more nourishing in terms of nutrients than others, but food can do different things. So sometimes it's nourishing for the body, sometimes it's nourishing for the soul. And it's about learning how food impacts you differently. So whether it impacts your hunger differently, your energy, or your satisfaction differently. And this is a massive sort of key part of the process of healing your relationship with food and your body image. And then mistake number 3. Now, we hear this so often that hunger is something to be ignored or pushed aside. And it's no surprise because you're absolutely starving, but you're telling yourself all these things. You just ate. How can you be hungry again? Drink some water to curb your appetite. It's past 9 p.m. And that's because we're constantly getting these messages around when we should eat and how much we should eat. The problem is, if you listen to the health and weight loss industry, this is a recipe for gaining and losing the same weight over and over again. Now, that was definitely me. Give me a thumbs up if that's happened to you. Very stressful meal times. It leads to binges, the stress eating, that feeling out of control. And eventually, in the long run, you can actually switch off your hunger and fullness signals, and that totally disconnects you from your body, which is not a great place to be. And so a lot of the work that I do with my clients is about helping shift their mindset from something where you're trying to ignore and distract yourself from hunger to actually where you are much more connected with your body. You are able to listen to your hunger and your fullness signals. And it's a much healthier approach to eating. So are you someone that would rather end the diet chaos, the binges, the emotional eating, and instead have a healthy relationship with food where you feel in charge of your eating habits? You're eating in a way that acknowledges your needs and preferences, and you feel comfortable and confident in your body and in your skin. Now, the problem is, if we think back to Lorna, the mistakes that she was making that led to her feeling out of control, binging, emotional eating, is everything that you've just learned about. That restriction, it messes with your biology and your psychology, and it leads to this negative spiral of struggles with food and your body. Whereas Iris's way, although it may challenge a lot of the stuff that we hear in the diet and the wellness industry, the idea that food is inherently good or bad, is actually a much better approach. So are you ready? Is it a no or a yes, yes, yes to find out exactly how you can do this? Well, that's my next slide, and that is all about the 5-step food freedom path. Now, this is a very powerful combination of mindset, psychology, and nutrition science, and it's created in a way that supports your health and vitality. Not something you will see anywhere else. This is a very unique process, and it includes these 5 steps that you go through in order to find food freedom, and they're almost like stepping stones. You do one and that helps you get to the next, which helps you get to the next. So the very first is about ditching diets and diet culture. So this is about liberating yourself from those pressures. And what we do as a first step is we use something called a lifeline assessment to help you discover how, when, and why your food and body struggles were triggered when they developed. And that is such an important part of the process of taking you down to the point when you have food freedom. The second step is about developing this positive body image. You're using self-compassion, and you'll end up with self-love and improved well-being. But specifically what we do is we use these mindset shift exercises. These help you challenge your negative self-talk and your body image talk, and to shift it to something that's a lot more positive. The third step is about tuning into your body, and this is about helping you embrace your body's inner wisdom so that you can develop trust and intuition and that ability to take charge as well. And we use some somatic techniques, and this is to help you connect with your body, but also crucially for you to learn and understand and listen to your specific hunger cues. They're different for everyone, but it's helping you tune into them so that you know what hunger and also what fullness feels like. The third step is about using the principles of intuitive eating to help you nourish your body and create these healthy eating habits so that you can feel really confident in your food choices, that they are relevant to you. So we use something called nutritional rehabilitation or rehab to help stabilize your blood sugars. It will help you reduce your cravings, but also learn how to eat a real variety of foods that will support your health and vitality. And then the final step is about health, mindset, and habits. And this is really about creating something that lasts a lifetime so that you never have to start on Monday again. It's about establishing these habits and routines for eating, movement, self-care, so that you're going to feel more calm and that inner peace. And together what we do is create a personalized plan that gives you a sustainable approach on 3 levels. So we work on the behavioral level, the emotional level, and also the mindset or the cognitive level. And that's what makes it stick, and that's what makes this program or my plan very unique. So I'm going to take you through the steps very quickly. So ditching diet culture. Now, the reason we want to ditch diets and diet culture is basically they don't work. So the average woman spends 17 years of her life on a diet, which tells me immediately that they don't work, because otherwise you just do one and it would work. They aren't sustainable. They lead to very disordered eating, and it's a very toxic thing because it makes you feel miserable, deprived, you feel like you've failed. So we want to move away from all that. So after we do that lifeline assessment and uncover exactly why you feel like you feel, how you've got to the place that you are at today, You'll have increased energy levels and productivity, improved physical health, that freedom from the pressures, much more flexibility around your food choices, and which means that you'll have much less food anxiety, guilt, or shame. So how does that sound? Does it sound like something that you would want? And I want to share with you some feedback from Becca, who was one of the clients I worked with, someone who had dieted for about 20 years. And I think for her, that lifeline approach was so important because it helped her really identify what had happened on her path. And now she's experiencing much less cravings. So the second step is about releasing body shame. Now, diet culture is so negative, and these statistics make me feel totally heartbroken that 91% of women are unhappy in their bodies and 70% don't do activities with their families, their friends, etc. because of their body image. Heartbreaking. So we want to release the body shame. We want you to get to the point where you have improved body image. You actually feel confident in your skin. You enjoy what you look in the mirror. You feel happy. You're appreciating your body, and you're experiencing this self-compassion and self-love. And I just love this feedback from Steph, one of my clients, who's been really helped with this step, particularly the releasing body shame step. And one of the things she says in this feedback is that increasing her confidence and self-esteem has seen her dating again. Now, the update to that is she's actually just moved in with her boyfriend, which is just such wonderful and good news. And she attributes a lot of that to doing this program. Now, the third step is about tuning into your body, such an important part of the process, because a lot of people get to the stage, they're so used to following the programs, the healthy eating plans, that they say, I don't know what to eat yet now. I don't know how to do this eating thing because I'm so disconnected from my body. So a lot of the process is about helping you connect with your body, connect with the eating experience, your hunger, your fullness, mindful eating, using really somatic techniques to help you do this. And after this step, you will feel so much more connected with your body, but also your body's inner wisdom, to be able to trust your intuition, trust your hunger, trust your fullness. And so that gives you this much deeper connection with your body and that relationship to eating. And I love this because it was in the tuning into your body process that Helen really helped Helen stop her emotional eating, because she used to use food as an escape. And by reconnecting with hunger and fullness, she was able to stop doing that so much. The fourth step is using the principles of intuitive eating to learn how to nourish your body. Now, this is where the magic really happens, but you cannot do this until you've done the steps 1, 2, and 3. You see, the thing is, people are programmed to rely on external cues to understand whether they're healthy. So they use their Fitbit, or they measure their weight or their BMI. But that again disconnects them from their bodies. It's so much better and sustainable in the long run if you are connecting with your body and your relationship with eating. So respecting your body, eating what you enjoy, learning how to cope with your emotions without using food, making peace with food. All of this allows you to have something sustainable that you can do anywhere, because it's not an external thing. So you know how, like, you go on holiday and suddenly, your diet goes out the window because you're in a hotel and you can't do it. Well, by connecting with your body and using these principles, you can eat in a nutritious, healthful way wherever you are, whatever stage of life you're at. So after this step, you'll feel so much more freedom and autonomy. You'll be so much more confident and in charge around food. You're going to learn exactly how you can eat both for nourishment, but also enjoyment. Satisfaction is absolutely key to being able to feel full. Interestingly, you'll have so much more peace and calm around food, and overall, so much more energy, vitality, and improved well-being. And I love this feedback from Tabitha, who is again someone who had spent about 20 years yo-yo dieting. And after this step, what she felt was so much happier in herself, but also knowing that she could eat what she wants, but still supporting her health. And that was really important to her. And the final step is about mindset and habit for life. Now, the thing that I know as a psychologist is that even if you know what to do, it's very easy to slip back into old unhelpful habits. And that's why we need this mindset and habit formation. And it's honestly not possible to achieve your true health without the mindset and habits to support you, but also understanding how to use food and exercise to nourish your body. And after this step, honestly, you'll never start on Monday again, because this is about creating the tools and techniques so that you have something for life. It's gonna last a lifetime. You will have more energy and time to focus on your passions rather than focusing on food and weight, and this renewed feeling of self-worth, which is amazing. And I just wanted to share a few more reviews that I've had, really about helping people on their healing journey towards something that is long-term and sustainable, and even someone who has spent 30-ish, as she says, years on and off diet. Now, if you just take one thing away, well, maybe it's like 5 things, but it is possible for you to do all these things: end diet chaos, end the binges, the stress eating, stop feeling out of control, stop hating your body, stop that anxiety. And I want you to just imagine this for a moment. Close your eyes, if you will. Imagine you're getting ready to go out for dinner with some friends, and you open your wardrobe, and in your wardrobe, all you see there are clothes that make you feel good, that fit beautiful, that make you feel beautifully, that make you feel wonderful. And when you sit down for dinner, you choose what you want off the menu. You're not sitting there pondering for hours thinking, is this going to fit my calories and macros, or like checking online whether it actually does fit your calories for the day. During dinner, the key point here is that actually you spend very little time thinking about food or your body. You enjoy the food, you chat, and you have a fun evening. And when someone says, would you like dessert? Actually, yeah, maybe you have dessert. Yeah, maybe you don't. But the point is, you don't really think that much about it. In this whole scenario, there's no body shame, there's no guilt when you eat, no binge afterwards because you think you blew your diet. In fact, you hardly gave any of it a thought. So the question is, how can you apply that step-by-step framework, that food freedom plan, to your own life so that you can find food and body confidence too, so that you can be a lot more like Iris and a lot less like Lorna, because Lorna's approach to restricting doesn't work. That's what leads to the binges, the out of control feeling. The more she wants those foods, the more she wants the not allowed foods. Whereas with Iris, no foods are off limits. She feels body confident, food confident. So it is time for you to break free from those obsessive food thoughts. Stop thinking about food or counting calories or feeling controlled. It's time for you to gain body confidence, to feel happy and comfortable in your skin, so much so that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you think, wow, I look great. It's also time for you to take charge of your eating habits. This is so possible, to make choices aligned with your individual needs and have this very positive relationship with food. It is totally possible to have improved trust in your body, your intuition, that ability to trust when you feel hungry, when you feel full, and knowing that you're making these nourishing decisions that support your health and vitality. It is possible to feel peaceful and calm around food, knowing that you've got all these mindset and habit techniques and tools to support that positive relationship with food and your body. And it's possible if you have support, guidance, encouragement, and accountability on this journey towards healing your relationship with food. So if this calls you, if you feel like it speaks to you, if you feel like now is the time to break free from binges and that diet chaos, then book a call with me. I have some calls open in my diary. We can identify exactly what's holding you back from achieving food freedom, and we can create a personalized roadmap towards a much more sustainable approach for your health. Now, I did say at the beginning that there was a bonus for you. If you've got to this point, you can go and check out my quiz online to find your eating personality style. It's a brilliant way of finding out what kind of eater are you. Like, if dieter, clean eater, are you an unconscious eater? It's a great first step. So drlarazib.com. So like I say, I've got some time in my diary at the moment where you can book a food freedom call. I actually only open my diary to 5 calls a month. So if you don't see something there right now, it means I'm all booked, but I will be opening them every single month. 5 calls. If you are ready to understand what's holding you back and you want a personalized roadmap, then you can book a call and you can see the link. And I will look forward to meeting you then. Bye for now.